Welcome back to the Deal Room, the podcast where we bring real stories from real operators in real estate so you can learn, take action, and build your own path towards financial freedom. Today's guest has one of the most hands on journeys in property management, from overseeing 400 plus multifamily units portfolio to building a fast growing single family management company in Oklahoma City. Please welcome Notomi Sims.
Good morning.
Natomi, it's great to have you here. We are so excited to listen to your journey. So, could you please tell us how you got started and where you are right now?
Yeah. So when I was 25, I was renting an apartment in the Milwaukee area and I had a question. I got an invoice slid under my door. So I went into the leasing office to ask a question and I met a brand new leasing agent who was his first week or two. So in true Natomi style, I was like, I can help you solve this problem, even though I don't know what I'm doing. So between the two of us, we hovered around his computer in the office and we figured out the problem. In the meantime, a woman kept walking back and forth repeatedly, kind of noticeably. And once my conversation was done with the young man that I was chatting with, she just said, Are you looking for a job? I said, Actually, I am. What do you have? And she's like, Why don't you come in Friday? 20 years later, I'm still in property management, but I ended up working as a leasing agent for that community. They promoted me to assistant manager, where I did a lot of the turn process. So I spent a lot of time out on site, walking apartments, taking inventory, keeping track of tenant charges. I learned a lot about maintenance during that time. It was a very demanding, but it was a great job. And then I ended up transferring to, well, just moving over to a different management company as an assistant manager. I was quickly promoted to a property manager of a very small community where I was the only one there and responsible for every facet. I didn't even have a maintenance guy. And then after 9 months there, they promoted me to the second largest community. At that time, they've grown since then, but I spent about 5 years managing people, learning more about larger properties, landscaping. We were in Wisconsin. We had a lot of snow. So we had snow contracts to worry about, a lot of different things. And so the only reason I left is to move to Nashville, Tennessee, where I took a different type of job in real estate. So that's how I got into property management, just totally by accident, like every other person who just doesn't even know what it is and falls into it.
Quite a story. Natomi, could you tell us a little bit about your current company that you are running and how many you have employed and how many houses you're in charge of?
The multifamily and moved to Nashville, moved to Dallas, and then moved to Oklahoma City. And so in between there, I had been licensed in all of those states. And so I decided to try residential real estate here in Oklahoma City. Did open houses every Saturday and every Sunday. And I sold 6 or 7, I can't remember, houses in my first year, but it was just not for me. I'm not that great at it. And so I was filling in at the front desk of my brokerage one day, answering phones, and somebody called asking about rentals. And I thought, why are you calling a real estate brokerage about rentals? And upon further research, I found that the market here for rentals was huge, very surprisingly. So, through a little more research, I found the three largest companies with listings in this area. And I just sent out my resume unsolicited and ended up working for one of them as a 1099, as a realtor, as a listing agent for single family homes in the OKC market. Specifically, I was in Edmond and Northwest OKC. I did that for about 2.5 years and came into contact with an owner who I was listing for. And just during discussions, he had said he wanted to grow his portfolio and he had asked me to represent him on the sales side and help him acquire more homes. But then also he wanted me to retain them and manage them. So that was how I got started. He got up to 29 houses just through connections and word of mouth. We got a few more houses here and there. And during this time, I am doing everything by myself. So I was working out of my home and my car quite a bit, showing, scheduling vendors, doing move out inspections. But we've grown organically over time. Now, that original owner, he actually has decided that he does not want to be an investor anymore. So I've sold 26 of his 29 houses and we're still at 100. So
Wow.
yeah, they just came in organically. We've gotten word of mouth, a couple of referrals from realtors. We've gotten random. I saw your website. We have not really pushed in advertising. We've just kind of been going the slow route. We've grown quickly as far as a staff, and we really needed to move locations. Once I got out of my house, we were in a very small office, kind of in almost a rural area of Oklahoma City. And now we're in a suburb. We're in Mustang, Oklahoma. And so our location is great. We've got a bunch of new great team. And so we're setting a good foundation. We're trying to get all of our processes clean and precise, procedures, training. And now we're ready to start advertising. And I'll be out beating the street and making more connections, networking, and reaching out to owners that I've worked with in the past just on the leasing side. So fortunately, I feel like I have a little bit of low hanging fruit to start with, but I think that there's a lot of room for improvement in this industry. And not to speak bad about my competitors, because there is more than enough business out there for everybody, but like attracts like. And so someone who would work with my competitor wouldn't want to work with me. And someone who appreciates my style and my company wouldn't be happy with somebody else. So we kind of take that philosophy of the industry is a big tent. I try to stay friendly with all of my so-called competitors. We're all licensed
Uh-huh.
agents and we're all doing the same job, and we need to help each other out when we can. But that's kind of how I got to where I am now and where we're going next.
That's awesome. That's a great story, Natomi. Thanks for sharing. What do you see as challenges going forward in this industry? What challenges do you see for your company as well as for real estate?
How do I narrow that down? Externally, people who want to invest, who aren't interested in the stock market, are still interested in purchasing, right?
Yes.
So even if the rates aren't as great, they still want to invest in a good community. And so Oklahoma is a great place to invest. But some of the things that are challenging lately, and not so much in Oklahoma, but I'm trying to keep these problems from coming here. Squatters and squatter rights. I don't know what that's all about. So that's on my radar to definitely be more aware of that. And, in the committees and the networking that I do, I try to bring that stuff up. Another would be animals, ESAs, service animals, pets in general. Thankfully, HUD just withdrew some of their ESA guidelines that they previously held before Chevron was overturned. So that's a good thing for us. But people will always find a way to try to do things and not pay money. And tenants are a challenge externally, but internally, it's just staffing. Um, Fair housing is a big thing, and making sure that everybody gets trained on procedures and processes and how to answer questions. And what we do here in this office, we rely heavily on our contracts. And so I tell our team, I say, before you answer a question, search the lease, read the lease, find out what our lease says, because this industry is not about opinion. We are governed by our signed legal documents. And it's the same thing if we have an owner with a question, we want to look at our legal contract with them. And so sometimes have to train out bad habits that we acquire as humans. And this is so bad. Bad habits of being too nice. I know that sounds terrible, but being nice isn't what we do. We manage. Wow, that's not a nice thing to say, is it? We are nice. We try to be nice, but we are investing our owners invest, or I'm sorry, we're protecting our owner's investment, right? We are hired to steward well their money. And just like you have to discipline your children when they do something naughty, because I do liken tenants to naughty children quite frequently. We just have to tell them, you're like, hey, you can't do that. You need to take better care of this. This is your responsibility, and we can do it kindly, but ultimately we are looking out for the property, the home, our owner's investment. And so all of that wrapped into one is kind of an internal struggle for any property management company in any state.
Very good, Natomi. That's a great answer. You are protecting your owner's investment. Natomi, I want to shift gears a little bit. You build a really strong company. You have great operation systems and standards. With everything happening in technology right now, how do you see AI influencing the real estate market and the property management industry?
So, in the real estate side, NAR, and I'm part of a national committee for single family investments. So, I go to the realtor legislative meetings in DC every June. And over the last 2 years, they've really talked about how they're trying to incorporate AI for agents for the sales process. So, they're definitely trying to reply to emails, not lose leads, track data so that we don't forget to follow up with people. On the property management side, our CRM does most of the things that we need, but it's been a tremendous help for us in terms of research. So now we can upload a lease, we can upload the landlord tenant law. We can ask ChatGPT assistant to research everything to make sure that we say everything right, that we've covered all of our bases. But there are quite a few companies coming out with more AI technology to automate some of the things that we do manually. And so we're not taking advantage of that just yet. Kind of want to get my team trained on the right way to do things mentally first. And then once they've got their head around that process, then we can take advantage of some of the time saving AI stuff.
Absolutely. For someone who's listening, who's just starting off in their journey in real estate, what would you tell them? What advice you would like to provide whoever is starting off in the real estate journey?
Well, you have to love it. I mean, because it's not easy. I mean, some people might have a different story, but it does take a lot of work. So if you're on the sales side, I mean, you have to stay in touch. You have to follow up. You have to let everyone know what you do. So it is not something that you can set it, forget it, and just expect business to pour in. I would say networking is very important. Get to know the people in your industry, get to know your colleagues. They're not your competitors. Because, like I said previously, like attracts like, and there is more than enough business out there for everyone. And so, the more people you can rely on, lean on for questions and referrals. So, getting networked, getting involved in your local association. For me, that's local real estate association, the state and the national. But I'm also part of NARPA. That's the National Association of Residential Property Managers. So they have been tremendously helpful in networking as well. And so we all kind of lean on each other and ask questions, sometimes prop each other up when we've had a bad day. There's nothing new under the sun. And so don't think that you have to reinvent the wheel. And maybe people don't struggle with that as much now as I have in the past. I think people are more willing to rely on technology and look for new ways to do things. I'm a little bit old school. I was born 85 years old. So sometimes I have to bring myself into the current century and be like, okay, well, how can I work smarter and not harder? But I really think there's something to be said for human interaction and connection and working together, even with your competitors.
Thank you so much, Natomi. If some of the listeners want to find you, would you mind giving some information about your companies?
Yeah. You can find us at restorationreg.com. Restoration Real Estate Group, we are in Mustang, Oklahoma. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn. You can email us at info@restorationreg.com. But yeah, I mean, give us a call. I'm very big on passing on knowledge and taking everything that I've learned the hard way and trying to help others not go through what I went through. So even if it is just somebody who's like, "Hey, I saw you talking about this. I had a question." Keep my number as a phone a friend and reach out anytime because I'd be happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you. Natomi, your journey is incredible. From 400 multi-unit operations to building a modern, scalable property management company. Thank you for sharing your story and your insight.
Thank you.
And to our listeners, take these lessons to heart. Operations, excellence, standards, and relationships matter more than anything. We'll see you in the next time on Deal Room. Till then, have a great day.